Hey friend, Sean from Draft Therapy here, and on today's review for you, we're going to take a ride in that cold Kentucky rain. Kentucky Mule is an 8.3% barrel-aged fruit ale from Bell's Brewery in Comstock, Michigan. I don't know if you've noticed, but cocktail-inspired beers have been kind of creeping into craft beer the last few years. It seems like most of the time they try to imitate an old-fashioned. Bell's themselves have done that in the past. They did a old-fashioned style beer a couple of years ago. This time around, they're trying to emulate the Kentucky Mule. And while you may be a little bit more familiar with Moscow Mules, Kentucky Mules use bourbon instead of vodka like a Moscow Mule. So we'll see if this mule is worthy of a summer drink. But first, I'd like to thank my executive producers, Brian Kramer, David Jeffries, and Cam Freeman for helping to bring this review to you today. If you'd like to become a producer, help out the channel, or maybe just throw me a couple bucks to buy me a beer, take a look at my Patreon. It's at patreon.drafttherapy.com. It'll be linked down here, where you can get early access to these videos and a few other special perks that are available only to patrons. If the monetary thing isn't your thing, believe me, I understand. Just share this video. Let's make everybody a little bit more informed. Let's widen the net. Let's get more people into craft beer, Michigan craft beer across the country. More people to talk to is always a good thing. So let's take a look at the label here. We start at the top. We got the Bell's black bottle cap. If we look at the front here, it says Bell's. Comstock, Michigan has the 3 bells. That's Bell's logo. If you're unfamiliar with it, that's what it looks like. It's a bit of a pale, kind of off-white, maybe a tan with green lines surrounding it. Underneath that, on the main label here, we have a big copper mug with a lime kind of hanging on the edge there. Don't know how it's suspended in air like that, but it is. It says Kentucky Mule. This is a bourbon barrel-aged ale with ginger and lime. It is brewed and bottled by Bell's Brewery Incorporated in Comstock, Michigan. If we turn it around to the back here, we got that same pale, off-white looking color with the green stripe. It says, how's this for a twist? Our ginger lime ale, brewed with real fruit and root, aged in Kentucky bourbon barrels to create a brewer's homage to the classic cocktail. Copper mug optional. This is a product of Michigan. I don't think I've ever seen that on a Bell's logo before. It gives you the government warning underneath that, all the good stuff about the deposits. The shelf life on this is unlimited. This is 8.3% alcohol by volume. This was packaged on June 9th, 2022. That's been almost a little less than a month from the time I'm recording this video. You can see their website at bellsbeer.com. Now, I do not have a copper mug for this beer. I'm just going to use this glass. I mean, this is, I guess it's good enough. We're going to use our old friend, the handy dandy bottle opener. Not too many occasions to use this one anymore because most stuff's in cans, but let's see what we get on the aroma. Love seeing the vapor on a bottle. I don't think that will ever get old. You don't see that on a can very often. All right, let's put a nose on it. Bump my nose on there. It definitely has a ginger, big ginger and lime, not picking up on really any kind of barrel aged quality, but you know, we'll see. Proof is in the pudding. So let's go ahead and pour this. Coming out a copper, kind of light copper color, light pale yellow. Collecting in the glass looks a little bit more of that kind of brownish. A little bit more of a dark copper. We got about a finger, pretty much a finger even of head, really foamy head. Looks like just a really enticing head, nice, really crisp looking beer. We hold it up to the light here. It's got a bit of a brown quality to it. It looks like it's almost like a Belgian triple or so. Nice streaming carbonation. Can't see, no, correct me. I'm corrected. It is, I can definitely see my fingers very easily through that. It's got a nice color to it. I love that color. That's like a bit of a light brown look to me. To you guys, it looks maybe a little bit more towards the amber, but to me, it looks solidly in that brown category. Let's put a nose on it. Yeah, I was getting mostly ginger out of the bottle, but now I'm getting a little bit of that kind of limey characteristic, but I'm getting it's still a lot of ginger. Good thing I like ginger. All right, so we're going to take a taste here. Cheers, and we're going to talk about the mouthfeel. I want to talk about the flavor, but we don't do that. We always talk about the mouthfeel first. So the mouthfeel on this, it's a little bit heavier than I thought it would be, to be perfectly honest. I kind of expected it to be a little bit more crisp. a little bit more light, a little bit more refreshing. It does have a little bit more of a heavier, it's not really quite syrupy. It's not in that syrupy category, but it has a bit of a heavier mouthfeel. It has a really coating mouthfeel. It's kind of, I don't know, it's a little bit, it's definitely coating your mouth. Like and I'm still tasting everything, but it dries out a little bit on the finish after a little extended period of time. The head at this point is almost non-existent. Let's talk about the flavor. So the flavor in this one, you're pretty much getting lime and ginger. I mean, that's really straight away what you're getting. But I think the lime, what the lime does in the flavor is what that drying out kind of characteristic. What really dries out your tongue is that is that limey flavor. But the thing that's interesting is that not only the ginger is what you get up front. It's kind of like almost an eye opener, like how gingery the flavor is up front, and then that lime really mixes very well. You don't really notice it at first, but it's like the second drink is where I really picked it up. You really start to pick up, while you don't really get a lot of bourbon notes in the beer, you get the bourbon barrel characteristic on the finish. It like really, you get a little bit of that kind of oaky, woodsy kind of characteristic, and that feels like that's what really draws the moisture out of your mouth. Like it totally sucks it all up. It's like that barrel age characteristic is like a sponge that's just sucking the moisture out of your mouth. Let's take another taste here and see if that changes up a little bit. No, it's pretty much all about the same. It's still a lot of that ginger up front. That lime characteristic really, I think the lime is so well done that it really um, masks that oaky kind of barrel character. Like if that wasn't there, if that lime wasn't there to cover it up, it might be too much. It almost reminds me kind of like of some of the Founders Masagave beers. It has kind of that similar mouthfeel. It has a similar kind of flavor profile. Those Some of those are, I think they're other tequila. So this, while it's not tequila barrel aged, it'd be really interesting actually. I don't know if that's a cocktail name. Like I don't drink cocktails enough to know if there's like, Moscow mules are with vodka, Kentucky mules are with bourbon whiskey, and then there's a tequila one that's, I don't know, some other kind of mule, burro mule or something. It very much has similar characteristics. Like it shares that same kind of thing, and that makes me wonder if that's like if they do a process that's similar. Founders does Masagave, and we have Kentucky Mule that has kind of that similar characteristic. I've kind of looked. I don't generally look at Untapped ratings for beer before I do these, but I kind of was looking, trying to do research about this beer, and I think it was just under 4 on Untapped, and I'm wondering if it's kind of the same audience. Like I feel like Masagave is, and I hate to keep bringing up the comparison, but I feel like Masagave is very polarizing. Like some people love it, some people cannot stand it. It's like there's no in between. I feel like this might be a very similar kind of beer because it is very cocktail inspired, cocktail infused. I like to say a lot that if, maybe someone's not into beer, they might like to try this. But the thing that I don't pick up on because I am very focused, laser focused on beer, is I don't try cocktails. So people that like cocktails don't necessarily like stuff that's beer, like trying to emulate a cocktail in a beer. If I go and talk to somebody that's really into cocktails, they might really love Moscow mules. They might really love Kentucky mules. They'll taste this and say, this doesn't taste, I can't get over the beery flavor. For me, I think it's a really nice kind of, while it doesn't have that refreshing mouthfeel, it has a refreshing flavor. It's a nice change of pace. I don't think I've had anything in a beer form that's quite like this. I say some of the Masagaves come close to it, but I don't think there's anything that has that real strong ginger character up front with the liminess that finishes up and that bourbon barrel character that really kind of, again, sucks the moisture out of your mouth. It just kind of makes you thirsty to drink another one. I feel like I should be kicking a saloon door open and ordering one of these and just sitting in the desert or, in a saloon outside the desert and ordering multiple of these. Again, I could see people, if you don't like ginger, this is not going to be your beer. If you don't like lime, this probably isn't your beer because those are the two overwhelming characteristics. I'm not picking up on a bourbon flavor at all. So while it's bourbon barrel aged, I feel like Some beers you do pick up on bourbon that are bourbon barrel aged. Some of them you just get the barrel. This is a beer absolutely 110% for me that I only pick up on the barrel characteristic, no bourbon whatsoever. So go into it keeping that in mind. But for being bourbon barrel aged, it's only 8.3%, which is, I say only, but that's pretty low for a bourbon barrel aged beer. But I would definitely, I'm gonna age this. I bought a 4-pack. I think it was $15 for the 4 beers. Again, not cheap, but there are some New England style IPAs that go for, $20 for the 4-pack. I think this is a good purchase for me. I'm gonna sit on them, not literally, but I'm going to keep a hold of them, again, not literally, to see how they kind of age, and we'll see what they turn out like in a few months. But I think so far this is a hit for me personally. I'd pick this up again, really anytime. I feel like it's a good summertime beer to really refresh. If you're a Moscow Mule fan and a beer fan, or a Kentucky Mule fan and a beer fan, this might be right up your alley. All right, friends, that's been Kentucky Mule from Bell's Brewery in Comstock, Michigan. Have you had this before? Do you have a favorite cocktail-inspired beer? Let me know if there's a tequila mule in the comments down below, because I've never heard of it. But if you like beer, you might want to subscribe and click that bell, because I'm here talking about beer, cocktail-inspired beer or not, twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's all for free for viewers just like you. It only costs you your time, and you might miss your newest favorite. You might spend more time trying to find a favorite, or you might spend more time buying beer you don't like because you weren't subscribed. You didn't hear what I had to say about it. There's so many beers in the aisles now. It's a confusing mess. So until next time, I'm Sean from Draft Therapy. Thanks for stopping by. Remember, drink craft beer, support your local breweries, wherever they are. Michigan, Ohio, Indiana, California, Siam, Thailand, Russia, I don't know, wherever they are. And until next time, don't forget to treat yourself to a little draft therapy. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you again. Cheers.